we'll get the whole video of this news conference up at citizen.org and hopefully some other sites as well. So you can watch that again. It's very important in terms of getting into the details of these arguments. Hopefully we can get the written text as well. That's actually addressing the core issues that are being raised by the Wall Street critics of the speculation tax. Our next speaker is Raymond Offenheiser, who is the president of Oxfam America, the global poverty and development organization. And under Ray's leadership, Oxfam has been visionary in looking, and is at the root of Oxfam, even prior to Ray joining, particularly under Ray's leadership, visionary in looking not just at individual projects, which they spend so much energy and attention on, but looking at broader policy questions and looking at emerging policy questions in areas of the financial institutions, figuring out how climate impacts are going to be most severe on developing countries, and now turning attention to an important funding mechanism available to address some of those issues, the financial transactions tax.
Thanks very much, Rob. It's really a pleasure to join colleagues here today for this important press conference. As Rob said, Oxfam is an international relief and development organization. We work in 100 countries around the world. We're part of the Oxfam International Confederation. We spend $1 billion a year in both relief and development work in sites all over the world. Our core mission is to create lasting solutions to hunger, poverty, and social injustice. The perspective we bring to this discussion is that of development practitioners concerned about poverty and poverty alleviation in the developing world. In 2008, one of the biggest challenges poor people in developing countries had to contend with was a massive global economic crisis that, frankly, they had no role in creating. The best estimates that we have currently are that more than 100 million people were thrown into absolute poverty by this economic slowdown. The World Bank estimates that 50,000 African children, most of them girls, lost their lives last year due to the economic crisis. These figures are in addition to the pre-existing conditions of poverty and also child mortality. Greed and negligence caused the crisis. I don't think there's any dispute about that, and most of that in this country. And that's why we at Oxfam believe that the banks, the speculators, the financial wizards, and the hedge fund gurus should pay the new tax. They benefited from the frenzy and were bailed out by the taxpayers. But no one bailed out the people who continue to struggle on $1 a day. Their lives were made even harder. Those at fault should now bear the burden of helping this country and poor people everywhere to restore their lives and livelihoods. A small financial speculation tax, to our minds, simply makes good, practical common sense. The poorest are suffering for Wall Street sins. They are also on the front lines of the climate change crisis that Rob made reference to. They're the hardest hit with the fewest resources to adapt. Poor communities around the world are facing severe and more frequent and intense floods, droughts, cyclones, and these are leading to natural disasters and major disruptions in agricultural growing seasons. And for them and for these communities, that means increased poverty. We know from our work and research and tracking estimates made by the World Bank and other institutions that $100 billion a year are needed each year to ensure developing countries can start adapting to the climate change challenge. Building on the resiliency of communities to adapt to climate change, from planting drought-resistant crops to building homes and schools on raised foundations, we can reduce the damage and impact that climate change will have on the lives and livelihoods of poor communities. And even more funds are needed to build effective healthcare systems, ensure girls can attend school, and reduce hunger and food insecurity across the developing world. This tax can raise those crucial funds at a time when funding for overseas foreign assistance is under challenge and perhaps in crisis. Yes, it is justice for the wrongs of the past, but it would also help prevent crises in the future. So to conclude, I'd simply like to say that Oxfam strongly supports our colleagues here at the press conference in supporting the financial speculation tax, and we call on Congress and the Obama administration to take action on this important piece of legislation and financial sector reform immediately. Thank you very, very much.